Every great victory in life begins long before the world ever sees it. It begins in the quiet, unseen corners of the human mind, in the conversations we hold with ourselves. Your inner dialogue is the architect of your destiny. It builds the walls that limit you or lays the foundation for the empire you were born to create. Most people believe that external events control how they feel. They say, "I'm angry because they disrespected me," or "I'm afraid because life is uncertain." But the truth is far more powerful. Nothing outside of you has the authority to disturb your peace without your permission. It is not the event that shakes you. It is the meaning you attach to it, the story you tell yourself in the privacy of your own mind. Imagine two people facing the same storm. One says, "This is too much for me. I can't handle it," and collapses under the weight of despair. The other whispers, "This storm is making me stronger," and walks forward with courage. The storm is the same. The difference lies entirely in the dialogue within. This is why mastering your inner conversation is the first and most essential step toward acting as if nothing bothers you. Because once your thoughts are under your command, no force on earth can shake you from within. So how do you master this dialogue? It begins with awareness. You cannot change what you do not recognize. Pay attention to the words you repeat silently to yourself. Are they words of strength or weakness? Are they building your courage or feeding your fear? Most people allow their minds to speak without supervision, and in doing so, they hand over the steering wheel of their life to doubt and negativity. But you are not, most people. You are capable of becoming the commander of your thoughts. Once you are aware of the words you use internally, the next step is deliberate replacement. Every time a thought of limitation arises, "I can't do this. I'm not good enough. What if I fail?" You must replace it with its empowering opposite. "I am capable. I grow stronger with every challenge. Failure is just feedback." This is not self-deception. It is self-direction. You are programming your mind to serve you rather than sabotage you. Words repeated with conviction become beliefs, and beliefs shape reality. The most powerful individuals in history were not free from doubt or fear. They simply refused to let those emotions dominate their inner world. They spoke strength into existence long before the world saw it in them. You must do the same. Every day, speak words of resilience, confidence, and calm to yourself until your mind accepts them as truth. But mastering inner dialogue is not just about positive thinking, it is about emotional discipline. A life will not always be kind. You will face betrayal, disappointment, and injustice. In those moments, your mind will want to shout back, to spiral into anger or despair. That is precisely when you must assert your authority. Take a breath, pause, and remind yourself, "I am not my emotions. I control them. They do not control me." This single shift transforms you from a victim of circumstance into a master of your fate. Understand this deep lie. Storms will always rage around you. People will speak against you, plans will fail, and life will test you in ways you cannot predict. But none of it has the power to disturb your peace unless you invite it inside. Guard the door of your mind with vigilance. Speak only words that strengthen you. And when the world tries to shake you, stand firm in the unshakable truth that you control the storm within. Master your inner dialogue, and the outer world will lose its power to bother you. Because when your mind becomes your ally, no external force can ever become your enemy. The difference between ordinary lives and extraordinary destinies is often found in a single breath, the breath you take before you respond. Most people never learn the difference between reacting and responding. They go through life like dry leaves tossed in the wind, blown here and there by emotions, impulses, and circumstances. But those who rise above, those who remain unshaken in the face of chaos, understand a deeper truth of power belongs to the one who pauses. To react is instinctive. It is the knee-jerk anger when someone insults you, the impulsive decision made in fear, the hurried words spoken in frustration. Reaction is the language of the uncontrolled mind, and it almost always leads to regret. Responding, however, is an act of strength. It is deliberate. It is thoughtful. It is the product of patience and clarity. When you choose response over reaction, you demonstrate mastery over yourself, and that mastery commands respect from the world around you. Think of the strongest leaders, the most influential thinkers, the most resilient individuals throughout history. They were not free from provocation. They faced criticism, betrayal, and unimaginable pressure, yet they rarely lashed out or acted impulsively. Instead, they paused. They stepped back from the heat of the moment, looked at the bigger picture, and chose their next move with precision. That pause was their power, and it can be yours too. The secret is understanding that you are never obligated to react immediately. The world will push you to do so. People will provoke you, circumstances will rush you, emotions will surge within you, but you always have a choice. Between stimulus and response, there is a space, a silent, invisible gap, and inside that gap lies your freedom. Most people overlook it and hand their power over to impulse, but the wise widen that space with patience. They use it to ask, what outcome do I truly want? What response aligns with my highest self? In that moment, they stop being prisoners of circumstance and become authors of destiny. This does not mean suppressing your feelings or pretending they do not exist. Anger, frustration, disappointment, these are all part of the human experience. But emotions are messengers, not masters. They are meant to inform your decisions, not dictate them. When you pause and observe your emotions, instead of reacting from them, you transform them from wild forces into powerful allies. Anger becomes determination. Fear becomes caution. Sadness becomes compassion. This is the alchemy of response. Choosing response over reaction also protects your energy. Every time you react impulsively, you hand control of your state to the outside world. You let someone else's words decide your mood, someone else's behavior dictate your peace. But when you respond deliberately, you reclaim that control. You show that your state of mind is not up for negotiation. That is why those who master response radiate a quiet strength, because nothing outside of them can pull them off balance. It takes practice, of course. Begin with the small moments. The next time someone cuts you off in traffic, breathe instead of shouting. The next time someone criticizes you unfairly, listen instead of arguing. The next time life throws a challenge at you, think before you act. These small acts of patience are training for the bigger battles ahead. Over time, they build a reflex of calm, a natural tendency to pause and choose your response even under intense pressure. Remember this, reaction is weakness disguised as strength, but response is strength disguised as calm. The world will always test you, but it is your response that defines you, not the test itself. So the next time chaos knocks at your door, don't answer with anger or fear. Take a breath. Step into that sacred space between impulse and action, and from that space, choose the response that reflects who you truly are, not who the moment is trying to make you. Because in the end, the most powerful person in any situation is not the loudest, nor the fastest, but the one who remains calm enough to choose their next move wisely. Power lies in patience. One of the greatest sources of human suffering is attachment. Attachment to what others think of us, attachment to outcomes we cannot fully control, attachment to the idea that our worth depends on external validation. As long as you allow your peace to depend on the shifting winds of opinion and result, you will live a life of turbulence. But the moment you detach, you step into unshakable power. That is the essence of building emotional armor. And without it, you cannot truly act as if nothing bothers you. Understand this truth: people will always talk. They will praise you one day and criticize you the next. They will misunderstand your intentions, question your decisions, and judge your actions, often without knowing anything about your struggles or your journey. If your sense of self rises and falls with their words, you hand them the keys to your inner world. You become a puppet whose strings are pulled by other people's opinions. But if you detach, if you anchor your worth in who you know yourself to be rather than what they think of you, their words lose their power. Praise will no longer inflate you, and criticism will no longer wound you. You will walk through both with quiet dignity. Building emotional armor begins with a decision, the decision to value truth over approval. Ask yourself, what matters more? Living a life that is authentic to your purpose, or living a life that pleases the shifting expectations of others? Approval is a moving target. Chase it, and you will never rest. But if you stand firm in your principles and act from conviction, the noise around you becomes irrelevant. When you detach from the need to be liked or validated, you become unstoppable. Detachment must also extend to outcomes. Too many people tie their happiness to specific results, a promotion, a relationship, a number in a bank account. And when those outcomes don't unfold as planned, they feel defeated and broken. But the wise know that outcomes are influenced by many forces beyond their control. Your duty is not to control the outcome. It is to give your best effort and release the rest. When you do this, you free yourself from the chains of anxiety and disappointment. You stop clinging to what should be and focus instead on what is within my power. This mindset transforms the way you approach challenges. Failure no longer feels like the end. It becomes feedback. Success no longer becomes a reason for arrogance. It becomes a natural result of aligned action. You stop being a slave to results and become a master of process. And in mastering the process, you inevitably shape the results. Emotional armor is not about becoming cold or indifferent. It is not about refusing to care. It is about caring deeply about what truly matters, your growth, your character, your mission, and letting go of what doesn't. It is about walking into a room without needing anyone's approval, speaking your truth without fear of judgment, and pursuing your goals without being defined by the outcome. When you reach this state, something powerful happens. External forces lose their hold over you. Insults bounce off. Failures do not crush you. Praise no longer distracts you. You become centered, steady, and grounded, a calm force in a chaotic world. And from that place of inner strength, you can act as if nothing bothers you, not because you are pretending, but because nothing truly does. Remember, the world cannot wound a mind that refuses to be pierced. The opinions of others are just echoes. They fade. Outcomes are just moments. They pass. But your inner strength, once forged, is eternal. Build your emotional armor. Detach from the noise, release the need for control, and you will discover a profound peace that no circumstance can disturb. One of the greatest reasons people lose their peace, their focus, and their power is because they spend their energy on things that do not matter. They allow small inconveniences to ruin their day, trivial opinions to crush their confidence, and temporary obstacles to shake their belief. They treat every little irritation as if it were a major war. And in doing so, they drain themselves before the real battles even begin. If you wish to walk through life as if nothing bothers you, you must learn a vital skill that few ever master, the art of indifference. Indifference is not weakness. It is not ignorance. It is not about refusing to care about anything. True indifference is a conscious choice to conserve your power for what truly matters. It is the discipline of refusing to be disturbed by the small and insignificant. When you master it, you stop reacting to every whisper of negativity, every trivial problem, every minor inconvenience. Instead, you remain focused, composed, and strong. Think about it. The lion does not turn its head for the barking of dogs. A mountain does not tremble because of a passing breeze. Yet most people allow the smallest things, a rude comment, a traffic jam, a social media post, to throw them off balance. Every time you give your energy to something small, you rob yourself of the strength needed for something great. You cannot build an empire if you are busy swatting flies. The art of indifference begins with perspective. Ask yourself in moments of irritation, will this matter in a week, in a month, in a year? Most of the time, the answer is no. Yet we treat these passing moments as if they define our lives. Perspective shrinks problems down to their true size. Once you see how small they really are, you stop handing them your power. Another key part of practicing indifference is choosing your battles wisely. Not everything deserves a reaction. Not every insult needs a reply. Not every misunderstanding needs to be corrected. Your attention is your most valuable currency. Spend it only where it yields growth, peace, or progress. When you withhold your attention from the petty and the pointless, those things lose their grip on you. They fade into the background where they belong. It's also important to understand that not every opinion deserves your energy. People will judge, criticize, and misunderstand you no matter what you do. That is the nature of the world. If you try to respond to every opinion, you will exhaust yourself and still never please everyone. Indifference is your shield. When someone speaks negatively of you, learn to smile inwardly and move on. Their words reflect their own world, not yours. The practice of indifference does not mean you stop caring about anything. It means you care deeply about the few things that truly matter and ignore the rest. You care about your growth, your mission, your peace, your purpose, but you refuse to waste energy on noise. That is not coldness, that is wisdom. With time, this skill becomes second nature. The things that once angered you now amuse you. The problems that once felt heavy now feel light. The chaos that once pulled you off course now passes by like wind against stone. And in that unshakable calm, you become more effective, more focused, and more powerful than ever before. Remember, the size of a problem is determined not by its nature, but by the attention you give it. When you treat small things as small, they stay small. But if you feed them your focus, they grow and consume you. The art of indifference is the art of refusing to feed what does not deserve to grow. So let the small things pass. Let the noise fade. Let the distractions dissolve into nothing. Keep your eyes fixed on your purpose, your mind anchored in peace, and your spirit focused on what truly matters. Because the one who has mastered indifference is not easily shaken. And that is the mark of true power. There is a kind of power that needs no noise, no shouting, and no show. It does not demand to be noticed, yet it cannot be ignored. It is the power of silence. In a world where most people rush to defend themselves, to prove their worth, to argue their point, and to explain their choices, silence is rare. But those who have mastered themselves understand something profound. True confidence speaks loudest when it says nothing at all. When you are deeply secure in who you are and what you are doing, you feel no need to prove it. You understand that truth does not require validation, and strength does not beg for recognition. A tree does not announce its growth, it simply reaches for the sky. A mountain does not declare its strength, it simply stands unmoved. Likewise, when your confidence is rooted deeply within you, you do not chase the approval of others. You let your results speak for themselves. Silence unsettles people because it cannot be manipulated. When someone insults you and you respond with anger, they control your state. But when you remain silent and composed, they lose their power over you. When critics shout and you do not answer, their noise becomes meaningless. Silence disarms aggression, confuses negativity, and commands respect. It is not passive. It is deliberate. It is not weakness. It is strength restrained. To stand tall in silence, you must first build your confidence on solid ground. Many people seek confidence from external sources, from praise, titles, possessions, or approval. But such confidence is fragile. It vanishes the moment those sources disappear. Real confidence is built from the inside out. It comes from knowing your purpose, trusting your preparation, and believing in your ability to rise no matter what. Once you possess that inner certainty, silence becomes natural. You no longer feel the need to convince anyone of your worth. You already know it. Silence is also a form of discipline. It shows that you are not a prisoner of impulse, that you do not react to every provocation. Most people speak because they feel uncomfortable with stillness. They rush to fill the air, to defend themselves, to justify their actions. But silence requires strength. It requires you to trust that the truth does not need your voice to remain true. It teaches you to value peace over argument and dignity over validation. Think of the most powerful figures in history. They were often the calmest in the storm, the quietest in the room, the ones who spoke little but whose words carried weight. Their silence was not emptiness. It was intention. Every word they did speak mattered because they were not wasting energy on noise. And when they stood silently, their presence alone spoke volumes. Standing tall in silence also helps you command respect without demanding it. People respect those who are not easily provoked, who do not scramble to explain themselves, who move forward with quiet certainty. Silence communicates self-control, maturity, and inner strength, qualities that cannot be faked. It shows that you are not desperate for attention because you know attention naturally gravitates towards strength. Silence is especially powerful when dealing with negativity. Arguments thrive on reaction. Critics feed on attention. If you respond to every insult, you give your energy to those who do not deserve it. But if you remain silent and focused on your path, the noise eventually fades into the background. Silence is not surrender. It is strategy. It is the decision to rise above the trivial and stay aligned with what truly matters. In the end, to stand tall in silence is to declare with your presence what words could never fully express, that you are unshaken, undisturbed, and unwavering. It is the quiet confidence of someone who does not need the world's permission to walk their path. It is the calm strength of one who knows that storms will pass, critics will tire, and truth will stand on its own. So speak when it is necessary, but let your silence carry the rest. Let your actions speak louder than explanations. Let your results speak louder than arguments. And let your calm presence say to the world, I do not need to prove anything. I already know who I am. Life will never stop testing you. People will talk, storms will rage, circumstances will change, and challenges will come when you least expect them. But the question is not whether the world will try to shake you. It always will. The real question is whether you will allow it to succeed. When you master your inner dialogue, you become the commander of your thoughts and the architect of your destiny. When you choose response over reaction, you seize control of your emotions and refuse to be a puppet of circumstance. When you build emotional armor, you detach your worth from opinions and outcomes and stand unshaken by the noise. When you practice the art of indifference, you conserve your power for what truly matters and let the small things stay small. And when you stand tall in silence, you show the world that true strength needs no explanation. It simply is. This is how you act as if nothing bothers you, not by pretending the storms don't exist, but by becoming the kind of person they cannot move. You do not beg the world to be gentle. You become stronger than the world's blows. You do not chase approval. You walk so firmly in your truth that approval chases you. You do not fight every battle. You choose the few that matter and win them with calm certainty. Remember this timeless truth: storms cannot sink a ship unless they get inside. Likewise, nothing in this world has the power to disturb you unless you allow it into your mind and heart. Guard your inner world with discipline, and the outer world will lose its control over you. So walk forward with unshakable calm. Let others waste their energy on noise while you conserve yours for greatness. Let them react while you respond. Let them seek validation while you stay grounded in purpose. And when life tries to shake you, smile inwardly and whisper to yourself, I am bigger than this. I am stronger than this. I am unbothered. Because the moment you master this art, the art of walking through storms without letting them inside, you unlock a rare and unstoppable power, the power to rise above anything. And from that moment forward, the world no longer decides your peace. You do.